Hey guys, and welcome to the Transparency Monday night. Hope you guys are doing fabulous as always. So much to talk about. Thank you for the new membership. I'm going to actually do something for the mods. They'll really appreciate this. But I'm going to go ahead and make this live. Subscribers only to chat, and I will only slow down chat just a tad. So let me just do something here because I just love all the mods. They're fabulous. There you guys go. All you gotta do is hit the subscribe button and you can chat. After you become a subscriber for 1 minute, you will have that amazing ability. And I went ahead and put it on 20 seconds. Slow down a little bit. That way you guys can see the comments. You guys can all chat to one another and know what each other are saying. Again, so I want to thank all the members for being here, all the subscribers for being here, all the moderators. Special prayers going out to a special someone in their family. So if you believe in prayer, say a special prayer for the TNT fam. So here we go. I got a couple videos I'm going to show you guys, and then we're going to jump right into it. Again, thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the new memberships. Floydie's here, so I'm good. Mike Dropping Mama said she was doing martinis tonight. Didn't know how long she'd make it. She's here, so we're good to go. Yes, the best mods, best human beings. Dr. Debbie Booth, welcome, and thank you for the membership. Here we go, guys. Check it out. Coming this Friday, the Drunk Turkey Show is going to be here, but also Scott Roeder is going to be here, and we're going to talk about this. And Taylor, the public defender of Bryan Kohberger, has obtained Matthew Nodal as an expert witness. Again, subscribe to the channel and hear what Scott Roeder has to say about an expert witness who is pretty much in the same field as Scott is. He is set to testify for Bryan's defense in Moscow, Idaho. Again, Scott Roeder will be live with myself here, Truth and Transparency, this Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Central. So that is this Friday. Got something else for you guys. I'm doing rapid fire tonight, so you guys are definitely in for a treat. So much to talk about. I know that people are already in chat saying, can we talk about, Xana's mom and the whole Ann Taylor We can. But we're also going to talk about Dawn Daniels, and that's what we're going to kick off with. And so I have this video. Let's see. But first,
yes, it's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death.
go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Help me out there by hitting that thumbs up. Again, tonight we're going to kick it off with Dawn Daniels. How important is she? Just like you heard it here first about Dylan and the bedroom debacle. Well, we're going to talk about Dawn Daniels.
Department about why it took more than a year to gather charging recommendations in a student's death. Yesterday, police recommended hazing charges in the death of WSU freshman Sam Martinez.
The problem is the statute of limitations for hazing has actually expired, making it so those charges cannot be prosecuted. Our Ian Smay spoke with Pullman Police and the chief today. Ian?
Whitney, a lawyer for the Martinez family, provided me with a statement today about the charging recommendations. The statement reads in part, quote, "It is with great sorrow and disappointment for the Martinez family to hear the news that the investigation was not completed in time to bring forward all of the potential criminal charges against the individuals who played a role in the hazing death of their beloved son and brother, Sam Martinez. This has been an unbearable, overwhelmingly painful experience for the Martinez family. However, they remain resolute." I spoke with Pullman Police Chief Gary Jenkins today about what led to delays in the investigation. Sam Martinez was a soccer-loving WSU freshman from Bellevue who died from alcohol poisoning after drinking at an Alpha Tau Omega fraternity event in 2019.
We wanted to do the best job possible to honor Mr. Martinez and his family. So I believe we have conducted a very thorough investigation.
Thursday, the Pullman Police Department recommended charges for hazing and providing liquor to a minor. The report did not recommend manslaughter charges. It is too late to file charges for hazing because more than a year has passed since Sam's death. Chief Gary Jenkins says it took a long time to track down witnesses who moved away.
The logistics of trying to set up in-person interviews with all the witnesses who many were not in Pullman when we were trying to interview them. Really added to the timeline of completing this investigation.
The other major hurdle was trying to access Martinez's cell phone for evidence.
We contracted with a company to try to do that for us, and they had it for quite a long time, and we actually did not get any results from that.
Jenkins says they had hazing charges in mind during the investigation and its 1-year statute of limitations, but he says detectives didn't want to risk rushing the investigation.
We did not want to run into a double jeopardy problem where we, for example, would submit a misdemeanor case of hazing, but still have a potential for a manslaughter charge, which might be precluded from prosecution if some adjudication were made on the lesser charge.
This is what Sam's parents had to say to our sister station last July.
Sam was just absolutely pushed to the brink by this ritual, by this tradition of hazing, and left to die alone in the basement of that fraternity. It's devastating to think about.
Jenkins also told me the Pullman Police Department has been short-staffed and recruitment stalled when the pandemic hit. The Whitman County Prosecutor's Office is currently reviewing the recommendations. In the newsroom tonight, Ian Smay.
Police Chief Jenkins met with Bryan Kohberger while he was still the Pullman Police Chief on April 12, 2022, almost a year after that news update. There were some very disturbing information from that news update. Number one, who handled Sam's phone to try and obtain information from his phone that Jenkins speaks about in this interview?
The other major hurdle was trying to access Martinez's cell phone for evidence.
We contracted with a company to try to do that for us, and they had it for quite a long time, and we actually did not get any results from that.
Jenkins says they had hazing charges.
Curious if Sam's parents were given back his phone, and what type of phone was so difficult for the investigators to quote-unquote get into his phone to perform an extraction of the data. Number two is, what is Jenkins talking about when he says, quote-unquote, witnesses left and we couldn't get in touch with them? Why would you let people leave? Or even if they did leave, you can't find them? Did Gary Jenkins contact the FBI for help like Fry did for the Moscow, Idaho quadruple murder?
Chief Gary Jenkins says it took a long time to track down witnesses who moved away.
The logistics of trying to set up in-person interviews with all the witnesses who many were not in Pullman when we were trying to interview them really added to the timeline of completing this investigation.
The other major hurdle was trying to access Martinez's cell phone.
Sam was found in the basement in February of 2019. So you would have had February, March, April, and May. Those were all the months before summer break would have started. Not to mention all the months in 2020. Jenkins retired as the police chief of Pullman Police Department in July of 2022, to only a month later double dipping the government by accepting a position with WSU Campus Police Department as the intern police chief. Truth and Transparency looked into articles written by the WSU Insider because TNT believes Bryan Kohberger would have done his research on the school's police department as well as Pullman's police department. He would have come across Sam's case as well as the WSU sexual misconduct claims. All right, guys, listen up. Here it is. This is the important part of the Bryan Kohberger case. Between 2001 and 2007, WSU had interesting problems. The Pullman Police Department, interesting problems. The Daily Evergreen, March 28, 2007, WSU police ethics issues surface. And this was about police officers using. All right, look off here to the right. It's highlighted. It says Assistant Chief Scott West. It gives other officers' names. And then you're going to see Officer Dawn Daniels. And then Officer Kishner all had unauthorized personal charges on their cards. So off there to the right, that's what you guys are to be seeing right now. Company credit cards to make private personal purchases with their company cards. And a name there was Dawn Daniels was part of that during this investigation and lawsuit. Dawn Daniels was an officer for Pullman Police Department during a scandal that spanned between 2001 and 2004, where police department officers were using company credit cards for personal use. One of the officers was fired. Dawn Daniels managed to keep her job, and now today she is the assistant police chief at WSU. Dawn Daniels is also making over $100,000 in 2021. Her public payroll was over $100,000 per year, which is 75% more than her peers that she works with. And it is 50% more above the national average for that position as a sergeant at a police force. Dawn Daniels should ring a bell for a lot of people covering the Idaho 4 case, the University of Idaho murders. Bryan Kohberger, his search warrant of his apartment on WSU's campus was signed by Dawn Daniels. That officer that lost his job was able to actually sue Washington State University for violating his civil rights. And Bryan Jacobson, the African American, I was able to get here is the actual 10-page lawsuit where Mr. Bryan Jacobson, African American male, sued and won for discrimination because he was acknowledging that, yes, he did use his company Chase credit card that he was given for personal use, but so did so many others, and none of them got fired. He ends up winning the discrimination lawsuit that he does, and then got his job back. But check this out. American police officer that was the only person to be fired for using a company credit card for personal purchases, he actually was able to retain his job for being wrongfully terminated due to discrimination. Bryan Jacobson was employed with the Public Safety Department at Washington State University, and he was a student intern in 1988 and began actually working as a police officer for the department in 1990. Bryan had a very integral role in the department's data forensics lab, and his duties included investigating identity thefts. In this lawsuit, in this written work here, there were lots of letters, 19 letters communicating remand. And actually, I misspoke on this. It's 19 letters of he was being commended. He was being praised. So this was actually something against Bryan Jacobson that was like out of left field for him to be fired for this, because if you're going to weigh everything that was going on in his situation, how are you ignoring the 19 letters that he was receiving praise? And this was the first time that anything like this had happened. Again, he never denied what he did. But he was fighting the fact of, why am I getting fired? I believe that I'm getting fired. This is discrimination. Everybody else did the same thing. But I'm getting fired. Is it because I'm black? Why am I getting fired? Also at WSU, you were given a JP Morgan Chase corporate credit card to employees. The WSU state travel charge card policy. The policy requires employees to fully pay their monthly credit card bill upon receipt, and that they are strictly only for official university travel expenses. In November 2000, Bryan Jacobson was issued a JP Morgan Chase travel credit card. On or about December 9th, 2003, JP Morgan Chase contacted WSU's purchasing office. Due to a past due balance of X amount of dollars over a 90-day period. They looked further into this and saw that there were several purchases over $28,000. And okay, so I want you guys to take a look. So out of the $28,000, $28,900, so like $29,000, out of that money, this spanned over a 3-year period. $2,300 was deemed to be charges that were later identified as, okay, they're actually for the purchase of things that should not be purchased, okay? But I went ahead and I looked at, they said the following are some examples of, this was Bryan's personal charges listed in a WSU travel transaction detail report from November 16th, 2000 through December 2nd, 2003. And the thing that stuck out to me, I mean, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say the Hooters of Pasadena. But honestly, the thing that stuck out to me even more so, and there is a follow-up to this video, is the Friend Finder Inc. The Friend Finder Inc. The Friend Finder Inc., guys, was owned by Penthouse. It was like a membership to explicit things. And that's going to be in the follow-up. And the reason that this is going to be important is because of the stuff that was happening on WSU's campus then over the next, so many years. So we're going to talk about it, but that's coming up in the video too to this. But Friend Finder Inc. for $24.95, that's actually per month. Okay. That's a renewal, but we'll get on that in the follow-up video. But SeaWorld San Diego, Evergreen Tire Factory. He was paying this, and the rest of them were paying this off, but they were getting this credit card at 0 interest. Okay. There's a lot that goes into the back history of this, but this is technically, it's not stealing. Okay. But it's against policy. So you know what the policy is, and you're going against policy. And it was not just this gentleman. It was Don Daniels. Don Daniels is the person that was literally signing off and writing, signature and all, on Bryan Kohberger's search warrant. Of those purchases, here are some of the examples. Hooters of Pasadena, Evergreen Tire Factory, SeaWorld, tattoos, over $28,000 when they came back, and when it was all said and done, only $2,300 of it was for actual use for the university. But Bryan Jacobson was not disputing the fact that he used his credit card inappropriately. What he was disputing and what he had a problem with is that he was fired and nobody else was. There was other people responsible, just like he was, for improperly using his company credit card. And one of those people was Don Daniels. Did Bryan Kohberger do his research before choosing WSU? When did Bryan Kohberger become aware of the possible corruption that lied within the walls of the WSU Police Department? All right, guys, again, welcome back to Truth and Transparency. These are the two lead-up videos. I know a lot of people have questions. It's very simple. I went ahead and went all the way back because you want to know who is in charge of, when I have the probable cause here, okay, I wanted to know who the officers were that found the car. Then I wanted to know who the officer was that signed the search warrant. Why was she very adamant that she did not want the DNA, the sheath or anything, finding the DNA at the house of his parents, Bryan Kohberger's parents? She wanted nothing to do with that. Please don't use that when considering giving us the search warrant. Why? If you obtained it, legally and everything's on the up and up, I mean, you just basically took a circumstantial case, and with the DNA, it's no longer circumstantial. You have DNA, right? And everybody wants to ooh-hoo about this DNA. And it's like, well, here you have a woman, Don Daniels, that's like, well, we don't want, I want you to issue us the search warrant for his apartment and not consider that. Well, then why even talk about it? It makes no sense, right? And basically the people that found Bryan Kohberger's car, it's all WSU. It's all WSU handing over surveillance, okay? And saying, there's a bunch of cameras. Here you go. We found a white Elantra. It's on this street at this time. And they supply all of this surveillance, okay? And then you have two WSU police officers, and I went and looked up who they were. The Curtis guy, you got Daniel Tanego, and you got Curtis Whitman, okay? One of them did an inquiry, at 12:28 a.m. And see, they weren't ever showing dates and timestamps. And here in this PCA, they show dates and timestamps for when these WSU guys were doing this. And they did it the same day, literally 30 minutes apart. But here it's like WSU Police Department were the ones that basically caught Bryan Kohberger, in a sense. It was not Moscow to Police Department. It just wasn't, right? Based on, if you actually look and read this PCA, it is so heavy on WSU and their involvement to find this white Elantra that they came across, stumbled upon it, two different officers that didn't collab together, or if they did, that's not what this is insinuating. So what's up with WSU, and who are these people? What's the track record like of WSU? And WSU's track record is pure shit. And I'm not saying that individuals are. I'm saying the track record as a whole And the biggest thing is that they are just literally had a huge scandal with one of their police officers, who was literally sexual misconduct, grooming, having sex in the presidential suite of the stadium, then the observatory. I mean, the word grooming is very, like, that's serious. But I wanted to go even further back because I realized that some of the WSU people were veterans. What's up? What's their track record like? The guy that interviewed Bryan Kohberger was the police chief of the Pullman, the city police department chief. He met with Bryan, April of 2022. But in March of 2022, which comes before April, the university and its leaders get wind that WSU's campus police department tried to literally push under the rug an issue with sexual assaults, possible sexual harassment. Like I said, there was complaints and nothing was coming of them. And then somebody basically blew the whistle. And somebody blew the whistle because it was considered third hand. Then finally the university got involved. But at the end of the day, Bryan over here, Kohberger, who would have been doing research on the different universities that he wanted to possibly attend. And this has just a phenomenal, criminology department. And it is phenomenal because I went ahead and I started researching and I started looking into it. And I was like, yeah, holy shit. They let you have hands on to the CSI lab. You are legit involved. You get a lot of, you get to do a lot. And I was like, wow, I could see why somebody like him would want to go to this university for this program because it's that amazing, because it's so hands-on. You're involved. You get to do a lot. You get to work right alongside with the WSU Police Department and the CSI lab. And everybody's asking themselves, okay, was Bryan an intern? Was he the assistant intern? What was he? Well, I'm just going to throw this out there for you guys. Logic says that he was, okay? But also the web says that he was. You want to know why? Because go look on, here, I'll pull it up here. Go look on the WSU website. Go to the criminology department. Go and look up all the stuff they talk about, that Wilson Short Hall. The person that would be the grad assistant / PhD student that would be in this assistantship position, there could be multiple. Is there a picture of them? Is there anything to say this person did X, Y, Z? Were they an employee? And 9 times out of 10, you would see on a website things like that. There would be, who is the PhD assistantship person? Because they have a big write-up about the person that was in this position from 2019 to 2022. And she does a really nice write-up for them and a tribute to the program. But guess who came down? The people that were put in the probable cause affidavit, it was actually in the search warrant for his apartment. They put the 2 people that he shared this office with. Well, they're no longer on the website. They're completely taken down. And if somebody else would have this position, and if it wasn't Bryan, I think that person or persons would be on this website and they would be there and it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, it would just be what it is. And it's not there. So I think it not being there tells us everything that we need to know. Somebody like Bryan, like anybody else that would go, you're going to go to this school because you obtained this position with the program, and that's what it's all about. That's why you would go here. You wouldn't come and do this program and not be that person. And there would be no reason for them not to have Bryan as that person. Okay. But this now is stuff that would cause panic for the entire nation who's watching this case to find out that Bryan Kohberger was involved with, in fact, the police department. That'd be a big problem, right? I think that everybody would be like, holy shit, what the F? That's going to cause panic. That's going to, okay, who was Bryan working with? Did he do this alone? Was he working with, what's up? What did Bryan find out? What did Bryan know about other police officers? So Bryan just gets to WSU literally in the summer at some point. Nobody can pinpoint the exact date that he was there, but could his phone probably do that? Yeah. Could other things do that? Yeah. There's cameras all over this campus, WSU. There's cameras all over. How come this white Elantra is just poof, starts on a map of the night of the murders or early morning hours of the murders at 2:44 a.m.? Where was it literally a couple minutes before that? Because a couple minutes up from that position, I believe that there's a good chance that white Elantra was in the police department's parking lot, that white Elantra. Why do I think that? Well, because you wouldn't have a problem showing where it was before that if it wasn't track it all the way back to Kruger Way or at a camera that's way closer to Bryan's house. Like, where was that Elantra before 2:44? It just doesn't poof come on a. It just doesn't show up out of thin air. You would back it up and you would see, okay, let's follow this, because guess what I went ahead and I looked at? A big part between 2019 and 2022, what the grad students and the PhD students worked on was red light cameras through campus. So Bryan would have known that. Bryan would have known that you were going to be all over cameras, all over the place. So you're going to be able to be tracked very, very easily. But nobody wants to talk about where that white Elantra was before 2:44 a.m. And when you start wanting to talk about that, you're going to get a lot of people getting really, really uncomfortable. But you should start wanting to talk about where that white Elantra was before 2:44 a.m. I guess chat's getting kind of fast, so I'm going to help out the mods here. Let's see here. The way that you can bypass that that red block there is if you are a member of the channel, you don't have to wait. How crazy is that? Like I said, I just learned that not too long ago. Anyways, yeah, I'm always looking out for the mods. So again, going down the things that I wanted to talk about today. the problem, logic points everything to Bryan Kohberger being involved with WSU department. And now he met with Jenkins and talked to Jenkins April 12th, 2022. But guess what? Jenkins, he was the police chief overseeing, the city of Pullman. Then there's the WSU campus. And the police chief there, as well as like basically the next two in line from him, all of them resigned right before all of these implications were about to come out with this one officer that was engaging in these sexual acts and doing things that were against policy, yada, yada, yada. And here you go. I will show you guys what I'm talking about. I'm sure I think all of you guys have at least heard about it, seen it, but here just in case, I want to pull it up for you guys. November 4th, 2022, literally a week before the homicides. Okay. A Washington State University police sergeant who engaged in sexual activity while on duty has resigned from the university. But this investigation, okay, this started in 2020. This investigation, though, it didn't become an investigation because it got pushed under the rug by the police chief at the time, who was the police chief of the WSU campus police, university police. And it ended up being a quote unquote whistleblower in a sense to get this like in the eyes of the university. So what's supposed to happen is if somebody complains about anything, you have to still bring it forward. And they didn't. So again, the individual who had been on home assignment since literally March of 2022, which should have been a month before Bryan Kohberger ever was in Pullman to talk. So he's doing, he's reading up on this. While the allegations were investigated, submitted his resignation effective Tuesday, November 1st. A university investigation concluded that the former WSU police sergeant, Matt Kurt, violated WSU policies regarding sexual harassment and that he improperly used university resources as well as violated provisions of the department's policy manual. He improperly used university resources. God, I would love to know what those resources were. Okay. Now, mind you, this is literally coming out and this is written on November 4th. Okay. Literally 8 days before the homicides. The university investigation found that the sergeant engaged in predatory grooming behavior while in a supervisor role, made sexual explicit comments. You guys can go ahead and read all about this. Okay. But what ended up happening is that right here, university leaders had been unaware of the December 2020 allegations involving the sergeant until March of 2022, when a concerned member of the campus police force contacted them. I would love to know who this concerned member was. Everybody's out there talking about, did Brent, the guy that got killed by they swatted him or whatever, was he working for the university in any capacity? WSU. Who was this concerned person? University leaders, they did not know about any of this. Okay. They found out about this. University leaders had been unaware of the December 2020 allegations involving the sergeant until March 2022. This person was right under the command of Dawn Daniels. Okay? This person was right under the command of Dawn Daniels, though. Okay? Who is the person that went and whistleblowed to the university? The prior police command staff conducted an internal investigation in 2020 when the allegations first surfaced, but failed to provide required notification to university leaders or human resource services of the allegations, the internal investigation, or the outcome. Okay. This is right up, just so you guys know, this is right up Ann Taylor's avenue of what she's going to go for. Okay, and it's going to be, how do you get to Bryan Kohberger? Well, you get to Bryan Kohberger because of WSU and what they did to basically cough up Bryan Kohberger, right? It wasn't until Moscow Police Department on November 25th, 2022 said, hey guys, local law enforcement, we're looking for this white Elantra, 2011, 2013. Go find it. Here we go. But we don't tell the public about this. It's just to local law enforcement. Then on November 29th, 2 officers from the WSU campus police department come across this in a 20-minute period. Both officers that have nothing to do with one another on that day. They just both do this. So it's like, wow. The video that I showed shows the article. So those of you guys that
in 2019
that want the receipts on Dawn, it's right here. Assistant Chief Scott West, Gregory McGinty, Monty somebody, Dawn Daniels, and Officer Kushner all had unauthorized personal charges on their cards. They each get a credit card from JP Morgan Chase, and it was used to, this is your expense account. Well, what they were doing back between 2000 and 2004, they were using their credit cards for personal use. And what you do each month is you pay off your credit card. But what you're getting out of it is you're getting a 0% interest, even if you're late. There was a deal worked out. Anyways, I'm sitting here with the lawsuit because one of the gentlemen, Black African American, that was working there, they decided that they were going to fire him. Okay. Well, he said, fuck that. I'm going to sue for discrimination. And he won. He won $96,000 in that. Plus, in his lawsuit, he had talked about that. I'm over here telling you guys what we did, but I'm not the only one that did it. Why was I the only one to get fired? And these are the other people that did it and provided, exhibits A6 through A9, A16, and showed WSU travel transaction detail reports for a number of employees. It was commonplace for employees, including high-level supervisors, to charge personal items to their WSU travel charge cards. For example, there were a number of charges made by employees to Pullman and surrounding area stores such as Safeway, Shopko, Anderson Lumber, Walmart, JCPenney's, and he goes on to list all these places. Okay. So then I went ahead and I looked at, I'm just curious. I always like to look at what people get paid, Well, then I looked up and I saw, holy shit. So Don Daniels on the search warrant, WSU, these two officers under Don Daniels. She was the intern police chief when 3 of these people resigned right before they were about to get fired. They resigned and they took their retirement. They resigned and retired right before anything could happen to them. And that included the police chief, the assistant chief. And then here's Don Daniels gets promoted to basically be police of chief in July of 2022. Okay. So I'm curious, does Don Daniels know Bryan Kohberger? Well, she's the police chief, the intern police chief, until Gary Jenkins decides that he retired from being the police chief of Pullman. Okay. He was done. And literally within a month, he gets a phone call that says, hey, we need you to come and will you be the police chief of WSU's campus police department? And so he began being the police chief of WSU's campus, Jenkins, in August. And then Don Daniels was the assistant police chief. Okay. And they basically lost 4 employees. Okay. And here you have Bryan Kohberger how could you not need somebody at this point? I mean, you're losing everybody pretty much. All of your main mofos, and and so the question is what the hell is going on? All right. You have people just doing whatever they want. And the date goes way back to 2000. All right. All the way to present day. And then I went ahead and I was just like, well, I want to know what Don Daniels makes. What did she make as just being a sergeant? And that's when I came across Don Daniels in 2021, made over $100,000 per year. And that was 75% higher than her peers, but it was 50% higher than the national average of sergeants that were working police employment jobs like her. 50% higher she made. And then I was like, okay, let me go back and look at 2020. Let me look at 19, 18, 17. I just, let's just see what's up. What's the growth? Where did she make some huge jump? And the answer is, it was like 75 to 85,000 in 2017. And then it was just like that constant kick up of, 5 or 6. I mean, each year she's tacking on. But I mean, there's been so much everything that has happened with WSU and Pullman police departments over the course of from March 2022 to present day, or let's just even say up to the murders, in November, has been a pure shit show. And then you throw in the fact that, you have the murders happen in Idaho, November, 12th, 13th, going into the 13th early morning. And then literally a month later, you have the police officers shooting and killing a guy that I'm going to be doing a huge live about, a guy that had 29 addresses all across the United States of America, a guy that worked for the U.S. Army military, a guy that loved weed. So But a guy that coffee apartments, everything when you look him up, nothing comes back to that address, Brent. And then you just go back to who found Bryan Kohberger? WSU police, campus police did. Are you fucking kidding me? The most corrupt motherfuckers? Okay. All right. There we go. Thank you. So, yeah, you want to look at how all of this happens and who's in charge of stuff and are they legit people? And your credibility is on the line when you have to testify. So, then you look at this case with Sam. How can you not get into his cell phone? That's some like Beaver County bullshit. You can't get into a guy's cell phone. How? What? You had to like send it off somewhere? The Idaho State Police couldn't. I mean, you have these. What is going on here? You can't get into his cell phone? Could you get into, Bryan Kohberger's cell phone? Could you get into the 4 victims' cell phones? This is just like, you can't ignore this stuff. You can't ignore motive. You can't ignore patterns of behavior. You can't ignore that the public was lied to and the surviving roommates were on the first floor. And then it comes out in the PCA that, nope, one of the surviving roommates is a witness to bushy eyebrows. What? You guys, for somebody that would have been stalking this house and somebody that would have been taking notes on the people in that house and what they did and what their routines were, well, then when you came past the house and you saw a freaking Range Rover that you'd never seen before, wouldn't you be like, whose Range Rover is that? I've never seen that car there before. Whose Range? Are one of the parents in town? Is there a parent in the house? Like, whose Range Rover is this? It would have never been seen before. Also, when did Jack D, when's the last time that Jack D went to that house? When was he, if you're scoping this house out and you want to know who's going to be there, when they're going to be there, when's a good time to go in there, and go ham on this house for whatever reason. You don't want any surprises, You think you're just going to go in there with one knife and a sheath, and you're going to leave 2 surviving witnesses, potential witnesses. Those are the only 2 people that were there religiously over the summer. They moved in the summer. You can really run the tags. If you run the tags on the Range Rover, you'd have to look at the front of the license plates because the back of the license plate had the price 1 on it. So good luck doing that. Trust me over there. I thought about it, perspective 2. Absolutely. And guess who can run plates? Police officers. Okay? That's who runs plates. Police officers run plates. And people say that, Lana, you're doing all. No, I'm giving you guys a preview at what Ann Taylor is going to do in that courtroom, which is destroy this. And if Bryan Kohberger is guilty, then this isn't good. Okay. You had the prosecutor, you had Moscow Police Department up there saying, we need more. Hey, public, still help us. Well, now I know why you need help. Because this is shit. Okay. Oh, Lana, you're just talking about a PCA and it's not on. I'm not talking about a PCA. I'm talking about profiling somebody. I'm talking about the crime and somebody circling and being on every damn camera, making multiple loops to be seen on all these cameras and then allegedly speeding off. And Leanna, put your hair down. That's funny. It's, if you believe in our criminal justice system and you believe in the US Constitution, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And if I was a parent of one of these four, I would want to know why this happened to my kid. Why does somebody go in and do this? Why? Why would anybody do this? How does anybody think they're going to get away with this? You know what's really hard, and that's why serial killers, don't normally get caught for a long time, is because there's no connection, right? So it's hard to connect them to a homicide because there's nothing there. You have to wait till, I guess you could say somebody messes up, or when you have a bunch of cases and they have the same MO, and then you're putting your, detectives together from different areas and working something out like that. 42 FBI agents in Moscow and across the United States like that. JonBenet Ramsey, 2 FBI agents. The Memphis 3 FBI agents. Idaho 4. Isolated, targeted attack. 42 FBI agents for an isolated, targeted attack. Day 1 of the initial prelim, the totality of the evidence, everything in our initial investigation, this was an isolated, targeted attack, and the community there's no threat. The fuck, no threat? I'm not staying there. Somebody just walked into somebody's house and just stabbed 4 people. I'm right with Olivia Gonzalez saying, are you kidding me? What do you mean nobody? How could you say that? How do you know that? What was at that crime scene that you're able to say that nobody is a threat? Nobody, hey guys, this was targeted. But what was at that crime scene that told you that? Why would you ever think that? When's the last time that Jack D spent the night at Kaylee's house? That's really important. When's the last time? That would have been asked by investigators. And if it wasn't, then that's insane. Thank you for that. You usually Trump. I'll take that. I think it's up there. Thank you. How did this killer or killers know that Kaylee didn't have a boys' sleepover, that Maddie didn't have a boys' sleepover? How? How is that possible? Who did Bethany have sleepover? Who did Dylan have sleepover? Nobody? Who came over for nightcaps? Think about it, guys. If Jack D lived across the street, he wouldn't drive over to the house. You would walk across the street. So you would never know when he's there, when he's not there, right? Think about all the times that I've shown you guys body cam footage. Whose cars are parked in the driveway? If you're stalking them and you're stalking that house and you're paying attention to who they have, where they have them, that you think that you could waltz in there and that the house would be unlocked, of all things, that the house is unlocked. There's no sign of forced entry. And that you walk past the most accessible bedroom how many times, but you never go in there. You never go in the bedroom that allegedly Dylan was in. That makes no sense. Oh, but Dylan wasn't the target. But she could possibly be a witness. And she was. Like, what? Oh, but they didn't know that she was in there. So they didn't open up the door to see if she was in there? Or was nobody ever really in there? Because the door was open multiple times, but nobody was in there. Like, think about it. You wouldn't know if people were spending the night. You wouldn't know that unless you had an inside, if you had like an inside path. If somebody told you that, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know if Kaylee had Jack sleep over. Who would know that? You wouldn't know if Maddie had somebody sleep over. How would you know that the Range Rover belonged to one of those girls and not somebody that was out of town? You wouldn't know any of this shit. Even if you had been stalking them every single day, you would not know if anybody had people sleeping over with them. You would not know that unless somebody told you that. Otherwise, you're going in there blind as fuck. And then it's dark as fuck. But you're going in there blind then. Or you could just be like, I don't care, you know? And then if that sheath comes back, guys, and the only DNA on it is touch DNA on the button, and there's no blood, and there's no other, like, if you guys don't have a problem with that, well, then I just would never want you on my jury, because I'd have a huge problem with that. I'd be in that jury room with, 11 other people, and I'd be like, I'm sitting here all day, because there's no way that you're going to sit here and tell me that sheath, that bed was covered in blood and everything that took place in that bed, and that even if it was under one of the persons, the blood would seep through and it would eventually get on that sheath. It would eventually get on that sheath. Especially if I had expert witnesses saying that it should have it. But you're never going to get me to leave that room until, with everything that I see right here, I'm not leaving that room saying that this person is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt with what I see. This is all circumstantial, but more importantly, for me, if that sheath only has touch DNA on it and that's it, then, I mean, in a blood-soaked bedroom, no way. And that's what we're going to talk about on Friday. We're going to talk to Scott Roeder, and we're going to ask him about that. We're going to ask him, how long, because everybody says, yeah, you can stab 4 people in X amount of time. It's possible. But the part that I want everybody to think about is, why would the police narrow the time frame of death, like the time of killing, between 4 and 4:25 versus 3:29, okay, and 4:20? Because if the car goes out and it goes back around the house and you can't see it for X amount of time, why couldn't somebody have gone in and possibly killed the 2 people upstairs and then said, oh shit, the sheath, I have to go back, I don't have the sheath, and then went back to try to get that. And when they went back to try to get that, they encountered some problems and had to kill the other 2 people. I mean, why can't you be considering that as a possibility? Why wouldn't you give yourself more time to commit these heinous acts, why would you be limiting it to 4 to 425? And right now that's like a head scratcher for me, that why you'd want to limit it if that car in fact was back there. Like you must and why aren't we talking about, why aren't you breaking it down that it came through at this time, then it came through at this time, and then it came through at that time? As a prosecution, I would want, if this is my person, this is who I believe killed these 4 people, I wouldn't want to limit anything. So you have the car coming across the screen allegedly at 329 in the PCA. So why can't you have it 329 to 420? I don't know why you keep saying 425 when the car is leaving at 420. Like that just doesn't make any fucking sense. But you guys, when something smells like shit and it looks like shit, it is shit. Just remember that. And when you want to eat Thanksgiving dinner because it smells so good, it's because it is so good. This looks and smells like shit. 42 FBI agents out the rip. Impossible. But possible, right? How? Why? What was going on in that area that they need, that something was already going down? What was going on in that area that they already had people there? Money, drugs, violence. So, at the moment, Lana is not reading chat. I'm not reading chat. I can read chat now. I see now. Kim O, what's up? It's bad when we have to trust the FBI, Joe says. You guys, just like in anything in life, you have people that abuse their powers. You have people that abuse their positions. And then you have people that don't. But 42, like you guys, it's not like 42 that are coming from like just that area. It's 42 coming from all over. It's like when you create like, like a task force or something. Like, here, guys, we're putting, and we're going to call it the, we're pulling all these people because let's just hypothetically say human trafficking was going on. So he puts together this task force. So when you're pulling all these people from all these different parts of the country that are from the FBI, you're forming like a task force. So, but AC says, can we do a meetup? Can we do a meetup in Moscow for the trial? Lana is the best. Yep, we can meet up. Corner Club, here we come. New member Kelly, thank you so much. Do me a favor. You guys have been watching now for about an hour. Either you like it or you don't, but I don't know why 2,300 of you guys would stick around if it was shit. So, my hair is really long. I'm growing it out. It's in the growing out phase. So, but my hair is really long. Growing it all out. So it's in a growing out phase. So yeah, there you go. So, it's Thanksgiving dinner, yeah. So I don't know. Somebody said about an Elliot question. I don't know. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Definitely hit that thumbs like, yeah. Like I said, make yourself known. You have a voice, you have a thumb. Pick a side. Don't be a middle rider. Atlanta, Elliot is blind and would like you to read and answer out loud. I try to. I try to. Um, let's see. This is interesting. Yeah, definitely interesting. I'm okay, Elliot. Okay. Elliot. Hi, Elliot. How are you? Let's see. Sorry, Elliot. Half the time I don't look at chat. So, Elliot, welcome. First of all, to Truth and Transparency, welcome. If you're blind, you can't see me, but I am looking at you through the screen. Is there any chance BK was a CI? Yep, we've talked about that here. Absolutely, I think that's a possibility. Especially considering his background, desire to do forensics, ability to pay low as an intern. Yes, absolutely. Hey, I have a question, Elliot, because one of my good friends is deaf, who runs a Facebook group, who has over 50,000, subscribers to her Facebook group. How are you able to do the, writing and chatting, and do you have any tips for me to give her? She's always looking for ways to try to do some live broadcasts, but she's not blind though, but she is deaf, but she's awesome. So just curious if you have any suggestions. Leave your hair down. He probably does talk to text, possibly, but maybe he has some good little contraptions. I just want to help Deanna out there. She's doing awesome stuff, so I told her I would look into it. Yes. Jay Johnson says, Elliot, thank you. So happy you're here. I'm assuming someone is reading to you or audio help. We are so happy you're here. Welcome. Much love to you. Thank you, Jay Johnson. That was really kind. Yeah. So, but that's tonight's live, is to talk about, WSU, man. I think people, when you need to take a step back and see, who brought Bryan Kohberger to the forefront, it was WSU campus police. Well, who are they and what do they do? And, I've always thought it was a little off. So I just want to deep dive, see what's up. It'll come up in court. Credibility is a big thing in court. So we'll see what's up. Yes. The motion, yes, that is still being talked about. Briefly, I will talk about Xana's mom. That was January 5th. I have to look into when the court appointed her as the attorney, because it could have been something, okay, you're getting appointed this, it was on the 5th, and it could have been something that's like, okay, yeah, no, I can't do that. So it's not necessarily that she was her attorney yet. So I want to look into like the certain dates. So until I get to look at the certain dates on how everything transpired, I'm not going to be commenting on something that I've never looked at in a capacity that I feel comfortable commenting on. But I did see, I got some text message here about, the January 5th motion that was put in that, it's a conflict of interest. So yeah, I have to take a look at that. The other thing is that I saw that Kaylee used the 1122 King address on October the 5th of 2021. Like I said, I think that those are two things that she used that address. Why'd she use that address? Was she living there? It was a incident at Walmart. Again, these are two things that I heard literally right before coming on a live with you guys. So those are two things that I will be discussing, but I have to be able to see something before I can discuss it, and I simply did not have the time to. So thank you there. Emmy there says, thank you for what you do. I love watching you. My son was murdered. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. December 2020. Still no true justice. Oh my gosh. Prayers for you and your family there. I'm really sorry about that. Mama of two, BB. Oh, always fact check. Yep. Yeah. Dr. Debbie Booth. Anne Taylor is Bryan Kohberger's attorney. So let's not get that twisted. What she was given, I don't feel comfortable even discussing it because I don't know all of the intricacies about it. So, but I will promise you guys that I will give you guys that that answer tomorrow when I also talk about Kaylee putting down the 1122 King address. I think this may cross into, and this would be pure speculation, but depending on if Kaylee's parents had anything to do with helping Maddie in the 1122 King address back when she began living there, and if they consider themselves, sisters. But if, Kaylee's parents helped at all with Maddie's off-campus housing, I wouldn't be shocked of that, and that Kaylee would feel comfortable using that address for something. So I will throw that out there. But yeah, I guess there was a super chat come in here and something Elliot had responded. Holly says, Elliot has answered. Please scroll, Anna. I will do that. Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you there, Ellen, for that super chat. Thanks, Boston. I am going to be ending this though. So again, you guys are very, very much appreciated. Love the TNT fam. Please consider making yourself known by thumbing up or down the video. Please also fact check on your own. If you see something that interests you, in any case, do some follow up with it. If you have questions, mods, please drop an email where questions can be submitted. Again, I try to do a really good job of reading those, getting back as soon as I can. But lately I've been getting a lot, and they're lengthy, which is not a problem, but it just please be patient with me getting back to you. But yeah, always be kind to each other in chat. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. Consider becoming a member of the channel. For the member perks, there's also a new merch line. Check it out. This Friday night, it's the sequel to last Friday, with special guests. Scott Roeder will be here. The Drunk Turkey will be here. And it's a follow-up to what we were closing out with talking about last Friday. But Scott's awesome. and really want to talk to him about the expert witness that the defense has and the work he's done and what we can kind of expect, what kind of questions kind of come your way when you're on the stand, things like that. So again, thank you guys for being here. Keep showing up, keep sharing it. We want everybody responsible, whoever is responsible for this. We don't want this to ever happen again. When you learn from situations like this, it helps. So nothing should get pushed under the rug, and keeping this in the limelight, helps. So, all right, guys. Until next time, again, thank you so much. Take care. And TNT is dynamite. Thank you, Leslie. I will be careful. Heidi, thank you for that. Amazing research, but I think the bottom line is lost on me unless it's how the defense can use this. I think what it just shows is it shows the holes, but it also shows, if there's other people that are capable, that were involved, was this a one-man team, was it multiple people? You just want to look at all aspects of something, and if we can raise any type of questions, if anybody sees this, you never know if it can jog someone's brain to be like, oh my God, I never considered this. Well, let's go do this. Things like that. And whoever the video may help, at the end of the day, it's going to help the truth. We want the truth. So this isn't about helping a side. And my shows are never about helping a side. This isn't about for the prosecution. This is about the truth. Because we want the truth, in whichever way that lays, it lays, but it's the truth. So, all right, guys, take care. See you soon.